All right, welcome to The Explainer. So you've got a big civil engineering exam on the horizon, right? And you're probably looking at this long list of surveying equipment and thinking, what do I actually need to know? Well, you're in the right place. Today, we are going to cut right through all that clutter. We're going to build your complete chain surveying toolkit, one piece at a time, so you can walk into that exam feeling totally confident.
So, here's how we're going to break it all down. We've got the toolkit overview, then we'll dive into chains, tapes, marking tools, all the way to angles and slopes. We'll wrap it up with a handy cheat sheet. Think of it like your perfect set of study notes. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, first things first, let's look at the whole toolkit. It's super easy to think, chain surveying, it's all about the chain, right? But nope, that's kind of like thinking a chef only needs a knife. To do this properly in the field, you've got a whole set of gear for measuring, for marking your spots, and for making sure everything is lined up just right.
So, let's really think this through. You measure out a distance with your chain, then what? How do you actually mark that spot on the ground? And how can you be sure your line is perfectly straight over, say, 100 feet? Yeah, there's more to it than just the chain or the tape. So what else do we absolutely need in our kit? Let's find out.
Okay, here's a pro tip for your exam prep. The absolute best way to remember all this stuff is to group it by what it does. So you've got your distance measuring tools, that's your chains and tapes. Then you have your marking and ranging gear, pegs, arrows, all that. You've got stuff to make sure things are vertical, like a plumb bob, and finally tools for angles and slopes. If you can remember these 4 categories, you'll be able to breeze through those multiple choice questions. We're going to hit every single one.
All right, let's get to the star of the show, the tool that gives this whole method its name, the chain. Now, this is your classic old-school instrument. It's not for jobs where you need millimeter precision, but for your exam, knowing the different types? Oh yeah, that's absolutely crucial.
Okay, you're going to want to pay close attention to this table. This is pure exam gold right here. You've got 4 main types. The first 3 you see, revenue, gunters, and engineers, they're all based on the old imperial system. You really need to lock in those lengths and link counts, especially the gunters chain. For some reason, examiners just love asking about that one. And then, of course, you've got the metric chain, which is what we mostly use today.
So when do you actually use a chain? Well, here's the deal. It's tough as nails, it's easy to read, and if a link breaks, you can probably fix it right there in the field. That's the good stuff. The downside? It's heavy, so it sags if you try to hold it up in the air. And over time, those links can stretch or get bent. So bottom line, for really high precision work, you're going to want to use something else.
And speaking of precision, you absolutely have to know these numbers. These are the official ISO standard specs. That 80 newtons of tension, the plus or minus 2 millimeters per meter, and especially those overall tolerances for the 20 and 30 meter chains. I'm telling you, these are practically guaranteed to show up as multiple choice questions, so get out those flashcards.
Okay, so we've established chains are for the rough and tumble jobs. But what if you need to be a little more accurate? Well, that's when you reach for their slicker, more modern cousin, the tape. And as you're about to see what the tape is made of, well, that changes everything. This table is awesome because it shows you the whole evolution. You start with the basic cloth tape. Honestly, it's not great. It stretches and shrinks. Then someone had the bright idea to weave little metal wires into it, and boom, you get the metallic tape, way better. Then you get the all-steel tape, which is even more accurate, and then you have invar. That one's in a whole different league because of the special metal alloy it's made from.
So, what's the big deal with invar tape? It all comes down to science. It's the special mix of nickel and steel that barely expands or contracts when the temperature changes. That's huge. It means your measurements are going to be super precise. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. The material is really soft and easy to damage, so you treat this thing with kid gloves. It's for special occasions only, not your everyday knock-around surveying jobs.
Okay, so you've just measured a perfect line with your fancy invar tape or your rugged old chain. Awesome. Now what? You can't just scratch a line in the dirt. You need tools to physically mark your points, and that's where this next set of accessories comes into play.
All right, let's meet the crew. Now, for your exam, the most important thing to get straight is the difference between pegs and arrows. Think of it this way.
Wooden pegs are for the big points, your main stations, the beginning and end of your whole survey. Steel arrows are the temporary little markers you stick in the ground at the end of every single chain length. Got it? Permanent versus temporary. Then you've got ranging rods to help you see and keep your lines straight, and the trusty plumb bob, a simple weight that makes sure everything is perfectly vertical.
So far, we've been talking a lot about straight lines, but let's be real. The world isn't flat, and not everything is in a straight line. So now we need to talk about the tools that help us deal with slopes and, maybe most importantly, how to lay out a perfect 90-degree corner.
First up, we have the clinometer, and this thing is beautifully simple. You basically just sight along its edge at a point on the slope, and a little weighted pendulum inside hangs down and points directly to the angle of that slope. Super easy, super effective for measuring how steep the ground is.
Okay, this next task is one of the most common things you'll do in surveying, setting out a perfect 90-degree angle. We call this an offset, and it's critical for everything from mapping the corner of a building to laying out a new road. And for this job, we've got three main tools in our kit.
So here they are, side by side. You've got the cross staff, which is the simplest of the bunch, pretty much just a frame with sight lines at a right angle. Then you have the upgrades, the optical square and the prism square. These are more modern, way more accurate, and they work using a really cool principle of light.
So here's the magic trick behind the optical square. A ray of light from your target hits a mirror set at a 45-degree angle. It bounces off that, hits a second mirror, also at 45 degrees, and then bounces into your eye. Now here's the key fact you have to remember for your exam. The light ray ends up being bent by twice the angle between the mirrors. So, what's 2 times 45 degrees? 90 degrees. That's how it creates that perfect right angle. Pretty clever, right?
Woo! Okay, we have covered a ton of equipment. So to make sure this all sticks in your brain for exam day, we're going to pull it all together into one final super useful summary. Think of this as your ultimate cheat sheet.
This is it. If you remember nothing else, remember this slide. Go ahead, take a screenshot. Pegs, main station. Arrows, intermediate. Plumb bob, vertical line. Ranging rods, keeping it straight. Clinometer, measuring slope. And those last three, the cross staff, optical square, and prism square, all for getting that perfect 90-degree angle. It doesn't get any simpler than this. This is perfect for that last-minute cram session.
So to wrap this all up, I want to leave you with a question. Now that you know what all these tools are for, which one do you think is the biggest troublemaker? Where's the error most likely to creep in? Is it the chain slowly stretching? Maybe you misread the tape, or maybe the optical square isn't held just right. See, knowing what the tools do is one thing, but understanding their weaknesses, that's what separates the amateurs from the pros. Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.